Before discussing Singapore's economic system, it is important to understand the country's background. As shown in the slide, Singapore gained independence in 1965 and faced several constraints, especially its limited land area and lack of natural resources. Despite these challenges, Singapore managed to transform its economy through strategic planning, international trade and foreign investment. Today, Singapore is recognized as one of the most developed economies in the world and serves as an important financial and business hub in Asia. Its strategic locations, modern infrastructure, and stable political environment have contributed significantly to its economic success. As a result, Singapore enjoys a high standard of living and continues to play an important role in the global economy. Singapore adopts a mixed economic system, which means it combines elements of a market economy and government involvement. On one hand, business have the freedom to make decisions regarding production, pricing, and investment. Most economic activities are also carried out by the private sector. On the other hand, the government remains actively involved in important sectors such as housing, education, healthcare, and public transportation. This helps ensure economic stability and social welfare. As a result, Singapore has been able to achieve consistent economic growth, attract foreign investors, and maintain a competitive economy. Because of this balance between market freedom and government support, Singapore is often considered a successful example of a mixed economy.
My name is Nur Aizatul Shazwa binti Armay. Next, I will present about the production in Singapore from a microeconomic aspect. Okay, production is the process of making goods and services to meet consumers' needs and wants. It is very important because it creates employment, generate income, and support economic growth. In Singapore, production plays a major role in strengthening the economy and improving the standard of living. However, Singapore also faces limited land and natural resources such as lack of oil, mineral, and agricultural land. Therefore, the country cannot rely on natural resources only and must depend on other strategies for development. One key strategy is technology and innovation. Singapore uses modern machinery, automation, and digital technology to improve productivity and efficiency. As a result, this country can produce high-quality goods and services at lower cost and remain competitive globally. Another important factor is skilled and educated workforce. Through strong education and training system, workers gain modern technical skill. So this will increase productivity and allow industry to adapt quickly to changes in technology and market demand. In addition, Singapore focuses on high-value industry such as electronic, biotechnology, financial services, logistics, and information technology. So this will help the country maximize limited resources while also generate high income and long-term economic growth. In conclusion, despite having limited resources, Singapore achieved strong economic performance through high value industry, making it one of the most successful economies in the world. That's all from me.
My name is Nur Anis Nazira binti Ahmad Syaifuddin. Today, I will present about consumption in Singapore, which is an important part of the country's economy. Consumption refers to the spending of households and individuals on goods and services to satisfy their needs and wants. In Singapore, people spend on necessities such as housing, food, healthcare, and transportation, as well as entertainments and leisure activities. One factor that influences consumption is high household income. Although Singaporeans generally earn high incomes, the cost of living is also high. As a result, Consumers tend to compare prices and spend carefully to get the best value for their money. Another important factor is the Central Provident Fund (CPF), which is a compulsory savings scheme for retirement, housing, and healthcare. Since part of a person's income is automatically saved, households may spend less on current consumption. However, this helps ensure long-term financial security. The government also supports consumption through financial assistance programs such as GST vouchers and utility rebates. This initiative help households cope with rising living costs and maintain their purchasing power. In conclusion, consumption plays an important role in Singapore's economy. Factors such as high income, the CPF saving system and government support all influence consumer spending and contribute to economic stability. Next, I will be presenting about distribution in Singapore and its role in the country's microeconomy. Distribution refers to the process of moving goods and services from producers to consumers. In Singapore, distribution is highly efficient and plays an important role in ensuring products reach consumers quickly and reliably. One of the main reasons for Singapore's success is its strategic location along major global shipping routes. This allows goods to be imported, stored, and re-exported efficiently, making Singapore a key distribution hub in Asia. Another important factor is Singapore's world-class infrastructure. Facilities such as Changi Airport and the Port of Singapore enable the fast movement of goods through air and sea transportation. In addition, businesses use advanced technologies such as digital inventory systems and automation to improve efficiency and reduce costs. The growth of e-commerce has also increased the importance of distribution. Many companies invest in modern fulfillment centers to meet consumers' demand for faster deliveries. As a result, consumers enjoy greater convenience and access to a wider range of products. Furthermore, Singapore's business-friendly environment and supportive trade policies attract many multinational companies to establish regional operations there. This creates employment opportunities and strengthens the country's logistics sectors. In conclusion, Singapore's strategic location, advanced infrastructure, technological innovation, and supportive policies have made it one of the world's leading distribution hubs. Its efficient distribution system benefits both businesses and consumers while supporting economic growth.
Based on this slide, Singapore has three main market structures, namely oligopoly, monopolistic competition, and monopoly. First, oligopoly refers to a market dominated by a few large firms with high barriers to entry. Singapore, the telecommunications industry is a good example because it is mainly controlled by several major companies. Second, monopolistic competition exists when many firms offer similar product but differentiate themselves through branding, quality, or services. This can be seen in the food and beverage, retail, and service sectors. Lastly, a monopoly occurs when a single firm controls the supply of a product or service. In Singapore, public utilities are example of sector where monopoly conditions may exist due to the government control. So overall, oligopoly and monopolistic competition are the most common market structures in Singapore's economy.
Next, we are looking at how Singapore manages its economy. While most central banks around the world use interest rates to control inflation, the Monetary Authorities of Singapore, or MAS, does something completely unique. They use the exchange rate as their primary tool. Why the exchange rate? Singapore is a small, highly open economy that relies heavily on international trade. Because almost everything the country consumes is imported, fluctuations in the Singapore dollar directly impact the daily cost of living and business operations. Therefore, maintaining a stable currency is the most effective way to keep prices stable. MAS manages this through a mechanism called the Singapore dollar NER, or the Singapore dollar nominal effective exchange rate. Instead of pegging the currency to just one foreign dollar, they manage it against a secret basket of currencies belonging to their main trading partners. The Singapore dollar is allowed to float within a specific policy band. To steer the economy, must can just three things, which the slope of that band for appreciation, its width for volatility, or the midpoint. In practice, if inflation rises, must allows the Singapore dollar to appreciate, making imports cheaper and cooling down the prices hikes. Conversely, if growth slows down, they can ease the policy to boost export competitiveness. In conclusion, this unique approach has successfully kept the Singapore's inflation low, their economy stable, and investor confidence incredibly strong for decades.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Imtian Hamdan and my matching number is 2025135013. Today, I will explain the fiscal policy of Singapore. Singapore is well known for its strong financial discipline. The government is required to maintain a balanced budget at the end of each political term. This helps to prevent excessive national debt and ensure long-term financial stability. The main sources of government revenue are corporate income tax, goods and service tax (GST), and the net investment return contribution. The government uses this fund to improve the welfare of each citizen. A large portion of the budget is spent on public education, healthcare service, and public housing program. Singapore also invests heavily in infrastructure development to remain competitive in the global economy and support future economic growth. From an Islamic economic perspective, Singapore fiscal policy reflects to the concept of maslahat, which means promoting the public interest and welfare of society. Programs such as GST, voucher and housing grant help support lower income group and promote social justice. In addition, the government policy of avoiding deficit financing and exit borrowing is consistent with the Islamic principle of fiscal prudence. This helps ensure that future generations do not inherit a large financial burden. In conclusion, Singapore's fiscal policy demonstrates financial responsibility, public welfare, and sustainable economic development, which are values that align closely with Islamic economic principles. Next, recommendation for Singapore. First, Singapore should invest more in technology and innovation. This will help the country stay competitive and increase productivity. Second, the government should continue improving education and provide more training in areas such as AI, digital technology, finance, and green industries. This will help workers gain new skills and find better job opportunities. Third, social welfare programs such as GST voucher, housing grant, and healthcare subsidies should be reviewed regularly to ensure they continue helping those in need. Singapore should also maintain fiscal discipline by balancing its budget and avoiding excessive debt. This will help protect future generations. Lastly, the government should continue improving public service, healthcare, housing and infrastructure to improve the quality of life of its people. By focusing on innovation, education, social welfare and fiscal responsibility, Singapore can continue to grow and remain a successful economy. For conclusion, Singapore's success in the result of effective planning, good governance and strong economic policies. The country continue to grow by focusing on technology, innovation, skilled worker and global trade. Its monetary and fiscal policy have maintained economic stability while improving the quality of life of its citizens. Although Singapore follow the conventional economic system, many of its practices are similar to the principle of Islam economy, especially its promoting social welfare and fairness. Overall, Singapore is a good example of the stable, competitive and inclusive economy.